The world knows this place for the sailing, the waves, the vistas, Gilded Age mansions, and the colonial homes. But it's so much more.
We were founded on religious freedom.
Here you find the oldest synagogue in America, one of the oldest taverns in the nation. Learn the French connection in the American Revolution, and hear the story of the other Franklin brother and his wartime printing press.
Taken apart, buried, found by the Loyalists, and then the Loyalists printed their paper on it.
And here we see where Camelot began. The site of the John F. Kennedy and Jacqueline Bouvier wedding in 1953, one of Newport's most visited destinations. And here they preserve their history in the old homes, the really old homes.
1705.
I love historic houses just for what they add to the community.
And they're not just saving homes. Imagine a place where you could learn to take a wreck like this and put it back on the water. They're teaching a new generation the great traditions of the sea.
And then they give you the thickness.
It was empowering to me to know that whatever I created up here or thought of up here, these could make was extremely powerful.
And it's here where the best way to learn history is from the water.
And this is the only place in America where you'll find two presidential summer White Houses side by side.
Welcome to small town Americana, Newport, Rhode Island, where the American story has come alive in the streets and atop the waves for centuries.
Flaps are open, generators are on.
Okay, line up!
We copy you down, Eagle.
You notice it on the waterfront, in the sails, dusty old archives, the relics of a revolution. But walking the narrow streets of the neighborhoods, you really see it, this early America.
Newport is a very old city.
We're almost 400 years old, founded in 1639. There are over 400 houses that were here that witnessed the American Revolution that still stand today. Newport played an incredible outsized role in the American Revolution. The beginning of the end of the Revolution started in Newport, and the march to Yorktown started here.
And much of that history is still here. Each year, the community remembers the Revolutionary War and the French involvement. The British occupied the city for a time, but later some 12,000 French soldiers and sailors were based here. So a living history event, the French in Newport, happens each July.
And when the French came in 1780, they really came to sort of uplift and change the course of the American Revolution.
The Newport Historical Society has documented every aspect of the city's past, and their archive is a fascinating journey through the early days of America, like the homes that have been here for centuries.
You could get a unique and amazing example of every period of American architecture, wide range of types of American architecture visible on the island.
Most famous, the mansions. Built as summer cottages by the millionaires of the 19th century, like Cornelius Vanderbilt. His cottage, the Breakers, is now a museum, a classic example of the Gilded Age, with a killer view of the Atlantic.
No place like Newport for Gilded Age architecture.
Dig into the archives and you can see the other classics. Linden Gate, Ochre Court, Westcliff. It was a virtual competition to outdo your neighbors. In between the mansions and the ocean is one of the greatest walks in America. The Cliff Walk is a must for tourists. We found a lot of locals making it their morning ritual, and the views, like the 40 steps, are just outstanding. But you can see remarkable homes all over town.
I love historic houses just for what they add to the community.
Alyssa Lozapone is with the Newport Restoration Foundation. The group restores historic old homes, then rents them out, It's complicated work on these old places.
Materials are definitely a challenge. Brownstone, for instance, is one of the most common masonry materials that we use on our properties, and that's really challenging to get because it's no longer quarried. Almost half of our buildings are threatened by sea level rise and in the flood zone.
This one was 1705.
Mark Melchiori is head carpenter for the foundation.
I'm a big history buff, so and making sure these things just kind of kept around for other people is very, very important. We're meticulous about keeping the houses exactly as they were.
He says these old structures were built much differently than modern homes.
A slash at the overlap of each clapboard, that is a very old 18th century way of doing it. Each one of those slashes has a bevel and an angle and a certain set of degrees that we have to match. No two buildings are alike.
The foundation was created by multimillionaire Doris Duke in the 60s, when the trend across America was to tear down the old and replace with new.
A tobacco heiress, but she was a philanthropist and an art collector and a preservationist and many other things. She had this really audacious idea. She was going to purchase and restore well over 150 different projects.
Newport also has what's believed to be the oldest taverns in America. The White Horse Tavern opened in 1673.
Yeah, the White Horse Tavern definitely, tavern culture is so important in the 18th century and how people got their news. If you didn't have enough money to have a broadside or a newspaper, you would go to the tavern and read the news there.
British troops were housed at the tavern during the Revolutionary War, and the rumor is Ben Franklin stopped in when visiting his older brother in Newport. James Franklin had a printing press with an interesting story.
First used by the Patriot cause to print their newspaper, was taken apart, buried, found by the Loyalists, and then the Loyalists printed their paper on it. So it's a really shape-shifting object that was telling both sides of the story.
He created a publishing business that led to a key revolutionary newspaper, the Newport Mercury. You can actually read a 250-year-old newspaper.
It is voted and resolved that the act to prevent the Honorable Joseph Wanton, Esquire, from acting as governor of this colony.
But to really understand the town, you need to get on the water. Our guide is Bob McNury.
Welcome to the Coastal Queen. My name is Bob. Behind me in our wheelhouse is our Captain Tom.
Security call, Coastal Queen outbound.
Newport is actually known as America's first resort. That goes way back to the early 1800s when visitors came from the West Indies.
And on this trip, it's about the history.
You see the oldest Catholic church in Rhode Island, that brown steeple church. That is St. Mary's Church. That is where the Jackie Bouvier, John Fitzgerald Kennedy wedding took place, 1953.
The church is open to the public and is a must visit. Their reception was held at her stepfather's home, known as Hammersmith Farms. Amazingly, this became a popular escape for JFK and Jackie with an interesting presidential twist.
You're seeing a yellow building next to the tree there. Today, that is called the Eisenhower House. So out of all the places in America, Dwight Eisenhower chose that yellow house as his summer White House.
And just next door,
JFK used Hammersmith Farms as his summer White House the 3 summers he was president. And this is the only place in America where you'll find 2 presidential summer White Houses side by side.
we continue the cruise and the history. 200-year-old Fort Adams.
So you see those walls on the left with the cannon slots? They are all 6-foot depth granite blocks. In 1824, when they started, there were no railroads yet. They had to take schooners up to New Hampshire and Maine, bring back the big blocks. 2 years after Fort Adams opened up, it was rendered obsolete. So even though it could house 2,400 troops, they never had more than 500.
World-class hotels.
That is the Ocean Cliff. Today, that is a boutique hotel. Originally, that was a mansion. Billy Joel married Christy Brinkley there in 1987.
A legendary scientist's home.
And originally that was a mansion too, built for a guy named Alexander Agassiz. He is known as the father of oceanography. Started oceanography at Harvard University, and he's credited as the person who found the origin of coral reefs.
But when the Coast Guard wanted a lighthouse nearby, he had a stipulation.
I don't want the light shining into my mansion, so they made an agreement. Gave them a piece of land to build a lighthouse for $1. They had to make sure the lighthouse was no taller than 34 feet tall, so the light would not go into his mansion. And that's why you get an opportunity to see the shortest active lighthouse on the Atlantic coast. That is the Beavertail Lighthouse, much easier lighthouse to see, and it's on what is called Beavertail State Park.
The Rose Island Lighthouse.
Their mission was to bring the lighthouse and the barracks back to its Victorian 1912 look. And today, the lighthouse and the barracks is a small hotel. This is the Newport Pell Bridge. When it opened up, it became the largest suspension bridge in New England.
And along the waterfront, we found a special school with maritime roots, attracting national attention. A place where you can take a wreck like this and put it back on the water. Iris School of Technology and Trades is where preservation is on the curriculum.
It's a nice way to go. You get a sense of what your fingertips can do.
Warren Barker is an instructor at the school, teaching students how to restore an old Beetle Cat sailboat.
These are restorations, and we have to have an old one that's just gone, and then we restore it.
This is a get on your knees and get it done kind of place, literally building things from scratch, right on the plans.
They like the panache of having an original.
Intensity and excitement is everywhere in here.
These are problem-solving tools.
Kern Mass is president of Iris.
Originally, the school was founded on the passion to preserve classic wooden yachts.
Students here learn the old craftwork and the new technology, special chemicals and carbon fiber.
It's pretty strong, gives us some strength and stiffness. The carbon is the state-of-the-art boat. Yeah, they'll use that in aerospace and Formula One cars.
These are skills in high demand, and Iris has quite a track record.
85% retention, 85% graduation, and 90% placement.
Trade schools like this are a big deal. We were just interviewing Tom Bodette up in Brattleboro. He has a wood shop that he's very dedicated to, especially that it helps people get their hands into the trades again. Is that important here too?
We fulfill their lives and their dreams. We're distinctly hands-on in what we do.
You think it's cathartic for some people?
Oh, I definitely think it's cathartic. It was empowering to me to know that whatever I created up here or thought of up here, these could make was extremely powerful.
The maritime traditions of this 400-year-old city are alive and well, because here in Newport, Rhode Island, in this piece of small-town Americana, they take preserving history seriously. The boats, the old buildings, the storytelling, and the lessons of the Revolution that created a nation 250 years ago.